No, but in our phone.
Check, test.
I don't have it in here. No. Yeah, and the extras are right there. You would have got that. Did we see Fiona yet? Let's see Fiona. No Fiona? Okay. Yeah, she thought she might have to babysit some. For child sit. Do you have that? I do. Yes.
Good morning, and welcome to worship at Riverbend United Church. Welcome to you folks as well who are watching at home. This is yet another day our God has made, and we are gathered to rejoice and be glad in it. And I rejoice in the presence of all of you here in the room, and you folks at home. We are woven in the Spirit. It's a special day today. We are celebrating the 15-year ministry of Joanne Olson as our parish nurse. I'm assured she and David intend to remain among us, but no longer on our staff. David says, oh, maybe, but not on our staff. So we look forward to that. I want to introduce Isaac Schoenhardt because last week the sound was off for his announcement. And so here you go. Isaac, if you'll use that mic.
Hello and good morning. I'm Isaac Schoenhardt. As many of you know, I am a beekeeper. So I am selling honey at the back of the church at the end of church today. It is a recommended donation of $15 per jar, and all proceeds will be going to the church. For those of you who are not with us in person, we are able to deliver honey if you order a minimum of 2 jars, and I'm pretty sure you can find who to contact on the church newsletter for September. So that's...
Where's the money go?
All proceeds go to the church.
Thank you, Isaac. We appreciate beekeeping, not only because you are giving your proceeds to the church, but also because without the bees, it's over. Thanks for keeping the earth alive, Isaac Schoenhardt. I want to remind you folks in the room that John Adamonis, church member, brought in a basket full of bounteous beauty, and he wants folks to take a tomato on your way out. They are out there. There's also, little commercial here, a basket from Rabbit Hill Pet Value, who says if you have a pet, take a toy. So that's also out there. Today is the last day that we will enjoy our new creation banners, the Earth Day banners. So before we change to fall decor in the sanctuary, so as we later, in a few moments, sing For the Beauty of the Earth, you might just gaze around because these banners reflect the verses of that hymn. They were created during the winter before COVID, or as I call it, BC. Coordinated by Peggy Robinson, and also Betty Otterdahl made a banner, as did Sandra Marsh, and Audrey Skinner, hi Audrey, designed all the lettering. So we're grateful to those folks for this gift to our worship life together, and they were put up while we were not in the room for the last while, and now they will be tucked away for winter. We'll sing that in just a few moments. But first, there's one more thing that I am forgetting, and I dropped my Post-it note on the way in. Looking around for someone who's going to jog my memory. I know what it is. Marg Crabtree is back here in a hat, and she moved here in April from Ontario, and she searched United Churches online and in the vicinity, because she lives nearby, and found us and has been worshiping with us online. And so this is her first day in the room, and Marg, we are very glad you're here. And I want to say welcome back to Michelle Roy, who also has been worshiping with us online and is happy to be back in the room with us. Let's share in our Introit. Come and find the quiet center as we take a breath and prepare to worship the God of life.
Free Good morning and welcome. My name is Christine Enns, and I'm so glad you could join us on this beautiful fall day. Please join me in the call to worship from Psalm 96. We will just await the slides. Perhaps there's a shaking of the head, so I will go ahead. From Psalm 96, "Oh, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Let the heavens be glad, and let the earth rejoice. Let the sea roar and all that fills it. Let the field exult and everything in it. Then all the trees of the forest shall sing for joy."
Do not stop them, for to them belongs the kingdom of heaven, God. You folks at home can get your kids for a time with Krystal and Adelaide.
Good. Oh, it works. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. Today we are going to talk a little about kindness. Do you guys know what kindness means? Yeah? What do you think kindness means? Sorry. Being nice? What do you think kindness means, Adelaide? That's right. So kindness is a friendly, generous, and considerate act that you don't need to receive praise for. It's just something you do out of the kindness of your heart, per se, right? So there's 3 things about kindness. So first of all, it's really important to be kind to yourself, right? Because we learn how to be kind by watching others. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of an experiment. I'm pouring some milk in here. And now I'm going to continue with my thing. So the best thing to do with kindness is to practice. Like, how do you think you can practice being kind? Yes. Exactly. What about you, Adelaide? Yeah. What about complimenting people? Or volunteering your time? Or just say you have a bunch of toys at home that you don't use anymore. Could you donate them? That's a good way to do it. And another thing about kindness, it's really nice to acknowledge when somebody's kind to you, right? What do you do if somebody holds the door open to you, open for you? You say thank you. That's right. We acknowledge the kindness. It's positive reinforcement, because when somebody says thank you to you, you feel really good inside, right? Like if I were to say, that's a really nice shirt, you'd feel kind of good, right? Yeah. What about you, Adelaide? That's a beautiful dress. I love your hair today. Do you feel really good? Yeah. I can see you guys blushing a little bit. Yeah. So it's really nice to be kind to one another because it makes you feel good. And it makes the people that you're being kind to feel good as well. Right? So today we're going to have a little experiment. All these little dots are the people in the world. Let's do some green and some blue. And here. And if you guys want to try this at home, it's just food coloring in milk. Then I'll give one to you. Ooh. Try not to move too much. And you have that one, Adelaide. And here's a Q-tip. This Q-tip represents you. So, has anybody ever been kind to you before? Yeah, many times. Many times? So I want you to touch the Q-tip to one of your little dots. If you put it on the ground, it might just be a little bit more stable for you. There you go. What happened? It spread, right? Yes. So as the Q-tip, just pretend that's the kindness being offered. So what happens with you, Adelaide, when you touch a spot? Just continue being kind. It spreads. Do you think that's important? Because when people see you being kind to people, it makes them want to be kind too. Because I always say to Adelaide that I have this rule, because sharing is caring. And it's really important to share, because sharing as a child is one of the main forms of kindness, right? That's kind of cool, hey? So the more it spreads, the more the kindness spreads around the world. So it's a good way to encourage the spreading of kindness. Yeah? Okay, thank you guys. That was fun. And today we are going to sing a song called Jesus' Hands Were Kind Hands. And I'm just going to give you the first verse. Jesus' hands were kind hands, doing good to all, healing pain and sickness, blessing children small, washing tired feet and saving those who fall. Jesus' hands were kind hands, doing good to all. And if I can get you to play the tune of it, just so we can kind of get it. I'm sorry. Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you. Okay. And now we will sing this together.
Today's gospel reading is from Matthew, chapter 25, verses 31 to 40. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will put the sheep at his right hand, and the goats at the left. Then the king will say to those at his right hand, "Come, you that are blessed, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you?" And the king will answer them, "Truly, I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these who are members of my family, you did it to me." And now for the choir's anthem. Thank you. That was beautiful. It is such an honor to introduce Dr. Joanne Olson as she delivers her parting thoughts this morning on 15 years of parish nurse ministry to our congregation. However, with my role comes the daunting task of attempting to summarize Joanne's significant impact on all of us over all these years. I highly doubt there was a detailed job description awaiting Joanne when she began this role. However, Joanne found many caring and creative ways to build connections among us and with us. Joanne had her finger on the pulse of the congregation, always knowing who was in need of prayerful support at difficult times. While this caring and compassion underpinned her service to our congregation, there were significant accomplishments as well. Everything Joanne undertook was thoughtfully, extremely well organized, and executed with ease, or at least it appeared that way. Joanne chaired various committees, including the care team and the health committee. With her teams, Joanne coordinated many a meal train, created Advent and Lenten gift bags for shut-ins, arranged CPR training or sessions on preparing a will or estate planning. With the bereavement committee, Joanne initiated the loss and healing workshops, which brought together a variety of guest speakers presenting on various aspects of finding peace after great loss. Several grandparenting discussion groups were enjoyed by proud grannies and grandpies. One participant commented on Joanne's lovely way of drawing out people's stories, cares, and deepest thoughts in these sessions, as she also did whenever she led joys and concerns. With Joanne's leadership, the annual Advent healing service was always an intimate and meaningful worship. In 2009, Joanne introduced us to the Lenten Pilgrimage to Wellness, an invitation to live prayerfully through Lent while increasing our physical activity. Perhaps other members have these blue sheets tucked inside your Bible, which I found this week. This activity became a fan favorite and was recreated over many years. In addition to Joanne's impactful work in her parish nurse ministry, she also found time somehow, along with her husband David, to commit Wednesday evenings for 20 years to our confirmation program. This led to at least 122 young people who were confirmed into the United Church of Canada under their leadership. I know that both our children were enriched by this program. And to top it all off, she flocks together with our turkey team on every initiative. Joanne has been a supportive presence in our congregation for 15 years, serving with compassion and empathy. As one member of the care team summarized, I appreciate Joanne's ability to compartmentalize. It must be very difficult as parish nurse to serve as parish nurse, attend as a congregant, and just be a friend. But Joanne balances it all with grace. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Joanne Olson to share her thoughts on this ministry.
Did you know that the Gospels have 72 accounts of healing? Yes, that's about 1/5 of the whole content of the Gospels. Jesus' life of caring for human health is the basis of the Church's focus on health and healing over the centuries. You'll remember that in the early Christian Church, we saw health and healing as it emerged in those first century faith communities. And later, in monasteries and convents, medicines were developed, and the healing arts were practiced, recorded, and passed on. Over the past 1,000 years, many faith groups established centers of healing, such as charity hospitals in the Middle Ages, and more recently, the large full-service hospitals, such as the Grey Nuns right here in Edmonton. However, over time, a gap developed whereby congregations became somehow distanced from their historic healing missions. As a consequence, parish nursing was born some 30 years ago. However, in the early 1990s, there weren't any parish nurses in Canada. Reverend Granger Westberg had founded parish nursing in the US, and interested people here in Canada had some similar ideas. Soon there were courses that were preparing registered nurses to serve in Canadian faith communities. Margaret Clark, who was then the chief chaplain at the University of Alberta Hospitals, and I were involved in developing the first university-based parish nursing course here in Canada. We prepared over 100 parish nurses for these roles over a 10-year period. We also developed a one-year practicum where parish nursing students were placed in congregations at no cost so that they could learn the role and the church could learn what it was like to have a parish nurse. Margaret and I also wrote articles. We wrote a book together about Canadian parish nursing. And on top of this, Margaret and I would sometimes take to the roads, even during snowy, dark Alberta nights, to meet with church boards who had requested more information about parish nursing. One such church was Riverbend United. Our first parish nurses here were Kathleen Gilchrist, Lynn Anderson, and Dr. Lil Douglas. In 2005, however, Lil Douglas resigned her position, which left us here at Riverbend without a parish nurse. Soon after, I woke up one day with a clear sense of calling. Something was tugging at me and telling me that I had the education, I had the life and nursing experience, I had been preparing others for parish nursing, and I knew this congregation well. We had been members about 14 years. So in September 2005, I was in the role of parish nurse in this congregation. Over these past 15 years, I have probably been involved with every family in this congregation and with many on a long-term basis. There were joyful events such as births and baptisms, confirmations, weddings, and anniversaries. There were weekend workshops, as you mentioned, and there were visits to newborns and new parents. I worked with youth who had questions and some who were struggling with health issues. And other youth were struggling because their parents were struggling with various issues, and I had an opportunity to work with them. For the seniors in this congregation, the life changes have been so many, and it's been a privilege to walk beside them. There's been changes in housing, health-related issues, caregiving issues, losses of all kinds, including partners, friends, deaths of children and grandchildren, yes, and even losses of driver's licenses. I attended funerals, I did follow-up long after the busyness of the funerals and the memorials had completed. Some of those losses were unexpected and came at the end of a well-lived life, and there were deaths that came way too soon in the lives of young people. I was also involved in many situations where mental health issues were at the root of the challenges being experienced. One of the congregants knew me well enough that I was the person phoned when they took an overdose. A quick home visit and a call to 911 followed. An ambulance was summoned, and the person and I spent several hours in the emergency room until a family member could be located. The experiences were so diverse. There was work with people who were ending relationships and needed support to build new lives. One such opportunity involved being invited to be on a self-created discernment committee. And there were educational and support groups, again, that you mentioned, Christine, so I won't name them all. But I often became involved with people and families because they sought me out. And at other times, the minister, the church administrator, or congregational members made me aware of those in need. And at times, my nursing and my life experience, I think, just helped me sense where I needed to be and when. Sometimes these situations came from within this congregation, and sometimes they came from beyond this congregation. I'd like to read you just a few samples of emails, letters, and notes that I have that remind me of what I did when I was in this role. Here's an email that I got. I'm an adult interested in getting baptized. I live in the Riverbend community, but have not yet been to your church. I have a husband and a 6-year-old son who have been there for one of your services. I don't get out much because I have stage 4 cancer. I'm not sure of my life expectancy, but would like to get baptized while I'm feeling fairly well. Maybe in the next 4 weeks would be good. And this email came from a community agency. I heard you were the parish nurse at Riverbend United Church. I have a client who will have day surgery at the Royal Alex on Thursday. She needs a ride and some help. Would you be able to supply any names of someone who could help her? Her husband lives in Bangladesh. And here's a thank you card. Thank you for your ongoing care, compassion, and support to our family. Your hospital visits were appreciated and provided comfort during a sad and stressful time for all of us, as Dad was in his final days. And here's an email from the mother of a university student. I need your expert advice. I have a very stressed out daughter who needs to learn how to handle her inner voice. She drives herself to perform at higher and higher levels. As a result, she's tired and worn out, and I think it would be an ideal time for her to learn some better coping strategies. On most Sundays, I participated in worship services. This note was left on my desk one Sunday morning before the worship service. Our new grandson was born recently. He was diagnosed with a hole in his heart. He was admitted to the pediatric cardiology ward at the Stollery. His parents and their 3-year-old daughter need our support right now, so we won't be in church today. Please ask the congregation to pray for us and for his family. Your knowledge of these things and your ongoing support would also be welcome in the days and weeks ahead. And then there were times when my advanced nursing knowledge was extremely helpful. On one such occasion, when there was a member of this congregation who died while he was in a second marriage, I remembered that not only did I know his current wife, but I also knew his first wife. So while the minister was working with the family on funeral plans, I remembered a concept from my own nursing education, and I had some graduate students doing some work on this as well. It's something known as disenfranchised grief. That is the deep pain and grief that we can sometimes feel when there is an invisible loss, a loss that isn't being publicly acknowledged. There aren't open rituals that allow a person to grieve. So with that knowledge, I contacted and visited the ex-wife. Here's a note that I received later. It's been exactly 1 year since you visited, following the sudden death of my ex-husband. I have felt so blessed by that visit. Your understanding of the depth of my sorrow has comforted me over and over again this past year, as I have silently grieved for him, who filled such a large and important part of my life at one time. Knowing that I'm not entirely crazy to feel such deep loss has made it much easier for me to accept and live comfortably with the sadness, and to move on with appreciation of the good memories. Thank you, first of all, for thinking of me. And then thank you for acting on your thoughts with wisdom and compassion. May you continue to bless others as you have blessed me. I didn't do any of this work alone. I was always part of a strong ministry team and had congregational members working with me in various ways. I was supported by 4 ministers, Reverend Bill Cantillon, Reverend Tom Sawyer at 2 different times, Reverend Don Coots, and Reverend Valerie Oden. And there were 2 main youth ministers that I worked with very closely, Karen Bridges and Chris Giffen. And there was the pastoral care team in the early years, and our caring team in the more recent years. At my commissioning service to become parish nurse, which was led by Reverend Bill Cantillon, it was actually a symbol that I was being called to carry out the healing mission of this congregation, to allow God to work through me, but on behalf of all of you. And the symbols that I was part of a large caring community ranged from simple things like soups and casseroles and leftover turkey dinners frozen in the church freezer, to the prayer shawls and the blankets that were created to wrap around people in times of need. When COVID came along, it became too challenging to safely keep up a parish nursing ministry, as I was used to, with close contact with people in homes, hospitals, long-term care facilities, and here in the church. The worship services could go viral and virtual, but not parish nursing in my view. So for the safety of others and those vulnerable in my own family, I resigned the position on May 1st, 2020. As I close, I want you to know that it is I who have been richly blessed by sharing life experiences with the resilient and faithful people of this congregation. By walking beside so many during times of joy as well as challenge, I have learned how to live a faith-filled life of hope, no matter what the circumstances that surround us. You have taught me, as Karen Nowacki says, that even with all the challenging realities, our lives can be places where hope runs rampant. Hope can comfort, inspire, and promote healing. It can bring energy to impossible situations and peace to the pain and transition of loss. Hope can exert its force in surprising and unexpected ways. Hope can be obvious and unavoidable, and it can be elusive and mysterious. Sometimes we have to find a quiet moment and just wait for hope to perch on our souls. Often it lands so lightly that we don't even know it's there until we begin to hear the whisper of its tune. Thank you for teaching me always to have hope and I ask that we pray in the words of Karen Nowaki. Divine Comforter, we hear discord. We witness transition. We see pain. We encounter and feel loss. You provide courage. You inspire hope. You help us carry the load. You hear our fears. You offer words of healing. You fill our emptiness with your presence. You are with us on the path to peace. Accept our hopes and prayers, our thanks and praise. Amen.
Joanne, thank you for that reflection on your years. offered through your wisdom. Thank you. I want to, sure? I want to invite anyone here in the room, or if you're on YouTube, we've got some comments there which I'll share. Others can feel free to write as well. But if there's anyone in the room who wants to share a memory or a gratitude of Joanne's ministry, you are welcome to do that through this mic, remaining masked. If anyone has a memory or gratitude to share of Joanne. And as you're considering that, I want to share a couple of notes. We'll go backwards in time. First from Tom Sawyer, who writes this, Joanne. I have worked with congregations through what used to be Alberta Northwest Conference. I admired the emerging employment of parish nurses and the role they played in congregational life. And then I found myself on 2 occasions filling an interim ministry role right here and having the opportunity to work with Joanne Olson, who knew the congregation very well. She knows us very well, and modeled what parish nursing is all about. And he says, thank you, Joanne. That's a note from Tom. And then from Don Coots, minister of 10 years who left 4 years ago. He says, he writes from Vancouver, where he's at a family memorial service. So Don Coots says, my wish for all in teen ministry is for them to work with colleagues as committed, dedicated, and faithful to Christ's mission and ministry as you have been, Joanne. Your way of offering Christ's ministry of healing for individuals and communities through the promotion of health integrated within spiritual practices is rooted in your own deep personal faith, your profound wisdom, and your graciousness. Don says, may your retirement chapter be filled with many fine blessings as you continue to be such a blessing for your family, your friends, and your community. Those are words from Reverend Don Coots. Are there any memories or gratitudes here in the room that you want to share about Joanne's time with us? If so, you can just come up. Okay, then I'm going to read 2 others. First, from Reverend Karen Bridges, now Reverend. I believe that wasn't the case when you worked with her, right? Karen was youth pastor here, or youth director here, as Joanne said, and she says, Joanne, this is from Karen Bridges, I want to wish you a happy, fulfilling, and peaceful retirement. You've been a faithful servant of Christ and lived out your calling in this world with compassion. There's that word again. Grace, generosity, hope, kindness, and love. I consider myself very fortunate to have had the opportunity to work with you for so many years at Riverbend United. I will always remember our time in confirmation with so many young people. Your calming presence and deep listening added depth to the sharing of our faith with one another and created a space for people to ask their questions. May you always feel the love of God surrounding you, and may you always remember that you are not alone. Words from Reverend Karen Bridges. And now I'm going to read out just a few comments from our folks watching at home on YouTube. Wow, my phone switched to a different worship service. What's up with that? Highlands United and Vancouver, thank you for that, Ray. Sorry. Here we go. Tom and Sandy Lapointe say a huge thank you to Joanne for being our parish nurse for so many years. Job well done. And Christy Middleton says, thank you, Joanne, for sharing your time, talents, care, and expertise with our church. Know that you have made a difference in so many lives. And Doug McEwen says, thank you, Joanne and David. You're not invisible, you're coming, don't worry. You've given a lot of excellent leadership in and to our congregation. We are proud of your continuing presence and faithfulness among us. Gordon Campbell, many thanks to Joanne for all her work as parish nurse for so many years, Gordon and Hester. Gladys Payne, thanks Joanne for your visit when I had my hip surgery. And Linda Schofield, thank you Joanne for listening to my many problems through the years. Just a taste of Joanne's effect on us and impact. And lastly, I want to read this from Reverend Bill Cantalon, who may be tuning in. Morning, Bill, if you're there. He quotes the first letter to the Thessalonians from Paul. But we were gentle among you, like a nurse tenderly caring for her children. So deeply do we care for you that we are determined to share with you not only the gospel of God, but also our own selves, because you have become very dear to us. And Bill Cantalon writes, who was minister here 20 years ago, or 25 years ago to 15 years ago-ish. Bill says, Joanne and her husband David made the almost seamless transition from American Lutheranism to Canadian United Church Protestantism many years ago, embodying the best in both traditions. And eventually, with their daughters Erica and Kristen, I think Erica's here, looked right at you, finding a spiritual home here at Riverbend, where they've had an indelible impact. Joanne's monumental achievement was being at the forefront of parish nursing. And then he lists the many things that Joanne has done amongst us, some of which we've heard. And then he says, as a nurse, educator, and a person of faith, Joanne possesses a profound understanding of the healing ministry of Jesus through her ministry of presence, imbued with integrity and, that word again, compassion. Joanne helped me realize that every moment, every interaction, holds the possibility of healing. Quote, tell the people I love them. Tell the people I want them to be healthy. That is a quote from Joanne's and Margaret Clark's book, Nursing Within a Faith Community. Bill closes by saying, Joanne has fulfilled many roles throughout her illustrious career: wife, mother, nurse, with devotion, competence, and steadfastness. And now she has embraced, along with husband David, arguably the most gratifying vocation. Any guesses? Grandparenting. Well done, good and trustworthy servant. You have been, and this is a quote from the Gospel of Matthew, you have been trustworthy in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. A note from the Reverend Bill Cantalon. So, Joanne, I want to personally say thank you for being a steadfast companion, compassionate companion on the journey, to our staff, to so many of our members through the years, as well as in our community, walking with us through grief, illness, transition. And you have given away many a prayer shawl on behalf of the church, created by Audrey Skinner. And so we thought it was appropriate that you receive one, if you'll come up here. We want you to have a prayer shawl from the church as a reminder to you of how many you have given away as well, and all the people you've touched. And, hold on. Oh, sorry, Christy.
And on behalf of the board, we'd like to present you with a small token of our appreciation, a succulent planter that I'm sure that Joanne will tend and cultivate and nourish just as well as she did us. Thank you.
I just truly want to say it's thank you to you all. Thank you. And I'm not going anywhere, so I look forward to being part of this congregation. Yeah.
Thank you, Joanne. Now I invite us to gather up the prayers of our hearts, the prayers for our community and our neighbors, the prayers for our family and the world. Gather in the joy and the gratitude that moves through us. And we will share in a time of silent personal prayer, and then we will sing "Make Me a Channel of Your Peace" as our prayer.
Join me just in a brief stewardship moment. I thank you all for your ongoing support over these last challenging months, and know that your generous contributions go to the work of the church, including ministries like our parish nursing ministry and all of the related programs that you heard about this morning. An offering basket is available at the back of the church upon your departure, and if you're not with us today, or even if you are, you can also contribute through our pre-authorized remittance or by e-transfer. And I believe there may be the email up on the screen, and if not, you can find it on our website. Please join me in our offering prayer. May the gifts of our hearts, our hands, and our lives signify our desire to follow the way of Christ. May the love expressed in our giving ripple through the world, supporting those in need in healing ways. Amen. And our closing hymn, Like a Healing Stream, More Voices 144.
May we go forth into this week ready for National Day of Truth and Reconciliation on the 30th, and letting echo in our hearts the words of the prophet Micah, because I believe these words are fitting for you, Joanne. What is it that God requires of us? To do justice, to love kindness, and to walk ever so humbly with our God. Go in peace, friends. Our choir will sing us out.